Welcome back to another fun-filled and exciting episode of Fox and Fix It. I don't have a lot to do today, but I do need to get it done before this storm rolls in. I've already got a huge sinus headache because the weather changes, so it's going to be just a great time. But at least it's something simple. We're going to be changing the accelerator pump in my Quadrajet. And we're not even going to take the carburetor off the vehicle. Why? Because you don't have to. All we have to do is we've got to pull all the air horn screws out, like this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's like 6 or 7 of those. We're going to have to knock the roll pin through this accelerator pump lever to get that out of the way. We're going to have to disconnect this secondary air door diaphragm right here, disconnect that hose right there because that goes to the choke, and then this thing's going to come right off. You'll see, probably. The roll pin right here for the accelerator pump lever is very small, so if you don't have a small enough punch, what you can do is you can use a nail or a screw and get it started, and then grab it on the backside with a pair of like flush cuts or very small diagonal cut pliers, something like that. There you go. Get that through there just enough so we can grab it. As you can see here, there's that roll pin going through there. So now we should be able to take some small flush cuts like this, grab it, and just work it enough to get that lever to pop right off. And there you go. Boop, done. Now we'll take the secondary air door thing off. Just drop that screw. Hopefully I can get it with this magnet. Yes, I can. Excellent. You can use a regular flat blade screwdriver for this, but I am trying to beat the weather, so I am not doing that. That's off of there. Now, this doesn't matter. Put that off to the side. Choke lever right here. Flat blade screw. Get this off. Leave the lever down in here because it's attached to the choke, and it's a real pain if you happen to get that to fall off. Trust me. I've done it many, 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 many times. And you've got to take the little lever piece off as well, otherwise this rod is not going to fit through the hole in that air horn. Now we should get our air horn screws and get out of here. There's a couple right here between the primaries and the secondaries, and then the only thing left is, since this is a Quadrajet, you got to take these top 2 mounting bolts out if you're going to do this with the air horn off and the carburetor still on the vehicle. You don't have to take the back 2 off because the back 2 are down here on the bottom at the base of the carburetor, but these front 2 go straight through. That rhymes. It must mean my headache's doing a little bit better. Seriously, I mean, if you have sinus issues, you know what I'm talking about. Miserable. Two, 4, 6. Those 2. That one. And if I recall correctly, the last things we have to do is take these 2 slotted screws out that are just down inside those primaries. We have to be careful not to drop them. So I'm going to get those just to the point of falling out. Then I'll get a magnet. 1, 2. Got both those 2 little screws out. Lifting. Now we just have to get past this rod right here. And there we go. It's probably a horrible idea, actually, but we did it. See all that mess, all the pickup tubes and these little rods? Well, I don't want to bend anything, so that's going to be set carefully where they can dangle between the radiator and the upper radiator hose. Now we got to get this gasket off without ripping it. It's what these pocket screwdrivers are pretty good for. Since there's not a whole lot of surfaces these actually attach to, pocket screwdriver is usually good for sort of just running around the edge of it and popping this gasket off. I am not the best at carburetors here. I have rebuilt my fair share, especially of Q-Jets, but it's been a long time, so I'm sort of going off of memory on this, which is not the best idea. I mean, there's instructions, sure, but I kind of know what I'm doing, sort of, because the issue I've been having that's leading me to do this whole thing is that very, very, very light throttle, it likes to have a dead spot. And these are kind of famous for that. There's multiple reasons for that. I've already fixed one of them, which was the linkage for the accelerator pump itself that likes to get worn out because it's metal on metal, and that's what it does. But another issue that you have with these is accelerator pumps going bad, just like with any carburetor, really. And you don't really have to be this extra careful, but since I'm not sure if the kit has the exact one that I need, I'm trying to be careful. There we go. Ta-da! All right, it's in one piece, so if we really feel like it, which we probably will, we'll see if our kit has the exact match, and then we'll just swap these out. And I want my accelerator pump. And if you look at it, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but there's a big wear line on it. It's sort of still flexible, but it's a little bit stiff. All right, it's a little bit difficult for me to explain about this accelerator pump cup without drawing it out, so we're just going to draw it out. Basically, this little cup acts like a circular wiper blade inside your carburetor. The edge of that cup, when it's made, looks like this and has a nice sharp edge on it like that. And as it rides up and down inside this accelerator pump well, which is sort of upside down bell shaped like this, let's just say it looks like that completely. This edge is sealed up against this sort of upside down bell shape that is this accelerator pump well. And as it moves up and down, it wears out. And you end up with an edge that, instead of being square, is rounded like this. And that doesn't seal as well. Just like when your wiper blades get old from a lot of usage on the windshield, or they get dried out from the sun and they start leaving streaks, or they start leaving big lines on the windshield where they completely miss spots. Same thing is happening here with the accelerator pump. It's just a rubber cup and it's riding up and down on this metal, and the metal's not going to wear out, the cup is. So this cup might be completely pliable and soft, just like this one is. Nothing wrong with that part. That doesn't mean it's good. That edge is hard to see, but it has started to round, just like this. Which means as we push down initially, this first little section of light throttle, as the bell is getting narrower, you're getting fuel coming up past here instead of getting squeezed down this way like it should. So that's why we're replacing this pump cup. We're hoping that that new cup with its sharp edge will get rid of our initial problem of fuel getting past here and make all of it go where it's supposed to. Got it? Okay, hopefully that helps a little bit. It's kind of hard to explain, even with this drawing. It's kind of hard to explain. That's what I'm saying. Now, am I shooting a little bit in the dark with this and guesstimating what the problem is? Yes, I am. But also, I know it's a known issue. I've worked with them many, many times before, so I'm not really shooting in the dark. I'm shooting in the general direction of a problem. It's sort of like using a shotgun or a machine gun. Not really aiming, but we're going generally this way because I know the problem's over here. If you don't get that gun reference, that's okay. If you do get that gun reference, you know I'm right. I need to get this spring out of here. Very, very carefully. Be careful with it. Just sort of ease it off. There we go. You can see that spring just fits down inside this accelerator pump cup and keeps it from collapsing. Just like that. For this tool, it's just a little plastic piece. Goes right over the tip of this, so you can get some oil or lubricant and slide that new accelerator pump on. Ooh, lubricant. You go just like that, and up and over. Put our spring back on here and just sort of ease it around the edge again. I could probably look in the kit and see if there's a new spring, but, you know, I didn't. And ta-da! Accelerator pump. Just like that. Woo! Yeah, I like that. That's much better. Look how wide the new one is compared to the old one. The old one definitely has some material worn off of it, which might be part of our problem on that just initial pump shot. Let's put this back in. What are you whining about, Sadie? It's nice out. Enjoy the weather. Nope, she's running for the back door because I'm working on a car. Sadie, you want to go inside? Yep, she does. Almost forgot. We should probably see if we can match up this air horn gasket. No. That one's a bit different. That's not it. This one, also a bit different. We're closest with this guy, but still not quite. Yep. That's why you try to save these, because I just got a kit that is for this carburetor, and it does not have this exact gasket in it. Good thing we didn't break that. Going back on. Now, one other thing I was taught when you're putting a brand new accelerator pump in a Quadrajet is put a little bit of assembly lube on that cup so you get a good initial seal, and so it doesn't roll this cup inside out when you put it on. Because if you go dry onto a dry surface, there's a chance you could roll that cup, and you're still not going to have an accelerator pump, and you'll blame the part, and really it's installation. Spring looks good. Get a good seal on that. Oh yeah, it's not rolling it. We're fine. And then this goes right about there, just like that. Okay. Now we have to line everything up when we put it back on here. And everything dropped together. We are good. Now, when you're tightening the air horn or the top cover screws onto any carburetor, or tightening a carburetor in general, carburetors are made out of soft stuff. So what you want to do is take it easy. Don't run these down with a drill. There's a good chance you're going to warp stuff, crack stuff. You're going to strip the screws right out of this aluminum or whatever it's made of. And you also kind of want to go in a star pattern, just like everything else. And I can tell you that this carburetor has been apart before, and I'll show you how I know that. And you see how right here next to this screw, this is warped, and it's coming out and almost touching these air doors? That's because it's been apart and over-tightened, and it has warped that entire piece. Now, it's not holding them open, and it's not to the point of dragging, but I need to double check that once I tighten everything down. But right now, it's okay. But that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about when I tell you that these carburetors are soft and they warp really easy. The two screws that go down into the primary. Be very, very careful. One. And the second one. Now, it's not terrible if you drop them, at least not immediately terrible, because the butterflies at the bottom are closed, and you can fish these out, but it's a horrendous headache, and you don't want to do it if you don't have to. So, be very, very careful with those. I use tiny needle nose pliers. You could probably also set the screws down in there before you put the cover on, but then when you're jostling everything around trying to get the seat, there's a chance that they're going to come out of there. So I don't like to do it that way. Now, to get this accelerator pump lever back on, I'm going to push it down sort of in the general spot that it goes, kind of looking for the wear mark that's on this pump. There we go. Once you get that lined up, it'll push back through. And we got our air door diaphragm going on, air door close the offies for whatever. Okay, and that's it. New accelerator pump, top off, top back on, saved the gasket because that new kit didn't come with the right kind of gasket in the first place, which I didn't think it would. I've run into that before. We didn't drop any screws. Everything looks tight and good. I guess we should start this. All right, I think that's going to do it. New accelerator pump cup in here, and once I started it, I was going really light on the throttle just to see if I could get it to hesitate or get it to bog a little bit, and I couldn't, which is nice, but it's also not in gear. There's no load on the engine, so the only real way to know is when I test drive this, which I'll do later when I go to work, not right now. For now, we're just going to call that fixed because the fix was to just get the accelerator pump cup installed, which we did. All right, that's going to do it for today. We will see you next time.